Portrayal of Guilt, Devil Music, album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest album from Austin-based black metal band, Portrayal of Guilt. And you know, to just say that they're a black metal band would almost be just a diss, because these days, and since I should say from the beginning, honestly, they have blended everything from modern hardcore, grindcore, noise rock, post-hardcore, as well as black metal, and rolled it up into a nice big ugly ball, and I mean that in the nicest way. Now, I did enjoy their early EPs, but it would be with their full-length debut, Let Pain Be Your Guide, that I became an overnight fan. They blended all of these genres wonderfully, also some Screamo thrown in for good measure, and just did it in such a visceral way, with some really, shiny production. They had a big, bulky sound, and I was just really enamored with what they were doing. And that goes double for their 2021 follow-up, We Are All Alone. I believe my first reaction to this album, and I said it mid-review when I reviewed it at the time, where has this band been? Because they were scratching itches that I didn't even know that I had. Now, later that year, they did put out their Christfucker album, which I thought was okay. I was honestly a little let down by it. I mean, yes, the second half of this album really picked things up, and they started putting out some really great tunes there, but overall, I thought they were playing it a little too safe. I wanted to see them take the next big leap. Now, it's been, quite some time since we've heard from them in a full-length album capacity, which we do get to an extent here, and while last time I was kind of worried that they were, sticking to their lane a little bit too much, this album is a very different story. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The first half of this album, I genuinely think, maybe 5 of the best tracks this band has put out. One Last Taste of Heaven, the album starts off with, and it is such a promising start. I just love the way this riff just comes crashing in, obliterating everything. It's just so bulky and disgusting and explosive and in your face, and you can forget about any hope. There is no hope in sight. Crashing drums, a thunderous riff, guttural vocals. It's what I show up for with Portrayal of Guilt, and you know what? I don't even mind when this riff starts, getting into more chugging along territory in its second half. It's just a great opener. Untitled, on the other hand, is a very different tune. I wouldn't say this track is lighter at all, actually, but it is a little bit more of a pressure cooker of a tune. It shows Portrayal of Guilt attacking from a different angle. It almost has some noise rock and post-hardcore influence, but if you've been here with the band for their last album or so, you'll know that that's nothing to be too alarmed by. These verses are just very dangerous sounding. We get these looming riffs that are just all a build up to the chorus, which is exactly where it should be. It just instills this incredible feeling of dread. It is really, really ruthless. It's even hypnotic at times, even when it opens up, and by the end of this track, it is just a hellish beast, man. It is awesome. And Burning Hand, it only impresses me more. Portrayal of Guilt, they are really pulling out all the stops here. This doom impending riff and just how dense this track comes off, this is exactly what I look for. And every single breakdown is just earth-shattering. And as usual, shout-outs to the production, they sound fantastic. And I continue to just obsess over the more crashing, hellish breakdowns and these very looming, dangerous verses. It's so simple, but it's very effective, and it builds a hell of an atmosphere. And Where Angels Come to Die is explosive, repulsive, and most certainly not for the faint of heart. This is an experiment in nothing but noise and power violence. I mean, fans of the likes of Full of Hell will definitely want to take notice here. It's hellish, it's ghoulish, it's disgusting, and most importantly, it excites the hell out of me. And every time things just get so incredibly quiet on this track, which happens once or twice, the tension is almost unbearable, and that makes me a very happy boy. And for one more blast of raw power, Devil Music is nothing but impressive. And this is the longest track here. This is nearly 6 minutes, which is not something you're used to seeing too much from Portrayal of Guilt. But it's for certainly really good reason, because this track is almost progressive. It is one of the most multi-layered, most incredible outings from the band. The soaring speed riffs and the guttural vocals. It is a hellish ride, but it is fantastic. It just seems really thought out as well, which is something that I always love to hear. And it reminds me and reminds everyone that Portrayal of Guilt, they're not done yet. They most certainly have a lot more tricks in their bag. So as you've seen so far, all systems are go with Portrayal of Guilt. They just put out 5 of the best tracks they ever did. But what in God's name happens in the second half of this album is really disappointing for me and really hard to even explain. What we get is 5 tracks which are reimaginings of the 5 tracks we just chatted about, but with much more avant-garde experimental orchestrations throughout. The first up is the One Last Taste of Heaven reinterpretation, and I mean it puts a stop to my good time in a heartbeat. I salute challenges. I salute a band pushing themselves. But this to me is unbearably awkward and not really performed well. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but it just doesn't work out in my book. And it's a shame because we're living in a time where bands like, take for example, Liturgy can take the classic black metal and noise rock sound and blow it up to, massive proportions with orchestrations and avant-garde elements. And then there's this, and it's really not fun to listen to. I will give credit where it's due. The Untitled reimagining, there is a little bit of drama here, and I do love that. The strings definitely add there, but I just can't help but shake the feel that this is incredibly awkward. It's just sloppy, and the Burning Hand reimagination is not doing much better. No, somehow this track is even more awkward with some added percussion. As a matter of fact, things just went from clumsy and kind of awkward to just embarrassing. Borderline annoying, actually. Yeah, that's where we're at. I will say this, though. The vocal effects are really, really effective and do give me something to enjoy. But outside of that, my brain is slowly melting, and the Where Angels Go to Die is not helping either. But outside of that, my brain is just melting very slowly, and the Where Angels Come to Die reinterpretation is not that much better. I don't know how things have gotten even cheesier by this point. And if you know me, and you know this channel, you know that I love my metal campy. You know I love my metal over the top. And then I hear this, and I want to retract all of that. This doesn't click, though, for me. This is amateur hour. And, my body is cringing at the thought of them trying to do this live. And let me tell you, these 4-minute tracks that we're getting here from Portrayal of Guilt seem like a lifetime now. Now, I will say this. The devil music reinterpretation that we get to close this album out is actually by far the best and actually really decent. The drama is so much more of a factor here. This is a bulkier, bigger, broader sound, and I think it's a complete thought. This sound on this track is, I guess, what Portrayal of Guilt thought they were doing for the last 4 interpretations, but kind of failing there. This is kind of where it should be. It is heavier. It is more intense. There's more crossovers with their, usual output. It sounds like the hellish alter reality of their usual style, which is what this second half of this album should have been. And because of that, the tension is even bigger than it was before. It is crushing. It is revolting. I wish we got more in this vein. And I just wish that they, treated the other reimaginations with the same, love and care that they did the devil music one. This album is really tricky, mostly because the first half of it is just so good. It's easily some of the best material that this band has put out. But I think the second half of this album is just a risk that I know a lot of people are enjoying this thing online, but it's not for me. It just takes me out of the entire atmosphere and everything that I love about this band, because I do love quite a bit about this band. I just wish that they, put the same love and care into the other interpretations as they did the title track's interpretation. Yeah. For now, I'm kind of just feeling a strong 5 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.